You will be able to, at the end of this, identify how an internet dilemma has the potential to benefit and harm different stakeholders, to identify the ways the technical structure and design of the internet contributes to a social dilemma. Now, today, you're going to pretend that you are the chief technology advisor for a candidate running for elected office. Your candidate is relying on you to help inform her about important technological dilemmas and come up with good policy ideas to address them. For this project, you will investigate social dilemma related to the internet and prepare a report summarizing your findings and making a policy recommendation for your candidate. Now, let's take a look at the three different dilemmas: net neutrality, internet censorship, and the digital divide. You should get your project guide, access it either electronically or via print from code.org or the Canvas lesson. You will need this to guide you through the rest of this lesson. Hopefully you got it prior to today, but if you didn't, or if you're watching this video, pause the video now and go ahead and get the project guide. Okay, great. You have the project guide. Now, here are our options: net neutrality, internet censorship, and the digital divide. You all will be put into groups to do this because this is going to be done in class. So, net neutrality. The background on net neutrality. Internet users love services like streaming movies, video chatting, or online gaming. All of this content needs to travel over the internet. However, and the companies that build and maintain networks are complaining about the increased demands being placed on their networks. Your candidate is hearing more and more about a debate called net neutrality and would like a more informed opinion as part of her platform. The core question: when and how should internet service providers be allowed to treat some kinds of internet traffic different from others? That's your core question. This is the background. If you were put into the internet censorship, the background here: while the internet is used to share many useful services and information, there are growing concerns about the way that the internet can be used to spread damaging information ranging from national secrets to calls for violence. Censoring this information may provide some people with increased security, but potentially risks free speech and the safety of social and political activists. Your candidate would like to have a policy that balances these two concerns in a way that makes sense for our digital age. Core question: when and how should the government be allowed to censor or block internet traffic, if at all? Finally, the third group, or people with the third group, will do the digital divide. The background here is that while technology is increasingly integrated into our daily life, there are still many who lack access to the internet or digital technology. In rural areas, there are challenges building networks to connect geographically sparse populations, but even in cities, some groups or areas have relatively less access to the internet or knowledge of how to use it. Your candidate is worried that while technology is bringing social and economic benefits to many, there are others who are being left behind. The core question: when and how should resources be invested to close gaps between those who do and don't use the internet? So again, these are the three dilemmas. You will be placed in a group of 3 to 4 people, and you will be assigned one of these dilemmas. If we are in class, I'll assign it. If you are doing this asynchronously, completely on your own, then that's different, and you can do it all by yourself and turn in the one-pager. It's a one-pager, so it's not long. And if you're doing this asynchronously, get with me and so that we can determine either you can pick or I will assign one of these 3 dilemmas. Now, in class, what it is, you've got your internet dilemma policy one-pager. I want you to review the one-pager and the rubric. You have 3 minutes, so pause the video and look over the directions and the rubric. Okay, you're back. Next in class, I gave an additional 3 minutes to review the concept bank. You have protocols, which are your layers, your networks, packets, World Wide Web, Internet principles. I want you to review the concept bank portion of your handout. And again, doing this electronically or with your printout. Great. Now, review your sources. Notice that I gave you 20 minutes here. And I gave you 20 minutes because you need to actually go out and read some articles and watch some videos. You'll notice on the written one, you have to actually type stuff in, but if you go to the electronic one, which is the best thing to do right now, if you're doing net neutrality, click this link and you'll go to a video. Click this link and you'll go to an article. Click this link and you'll go to a Wikipedia article. You want to review those in the next 20 minutes, write down what the source is, a couple of notes on impacted groups, and notes on technical details. So you want to do that now. And again, there's one for net neutrality, one for censorship, and one for the digital divide. So pause the video at this time and go ahead and take a look at these sources. Now, one thing that I do want everybody to understand about the digital divide is that it's differing access to computing devices and the internet based on socioeconomic, geographic, or demographic characteristics. If there's somebody who does not want to use digital data or does not want to use computing devices, that's different, okay? If they have the means, but they choose not to, that's different. The digital divide can affect both individual and groups. It raises ethical concerns of equity, access, and influence globally and locally. It's affected by the actions of individuals, organizations, and governments. For example, when we went virtual due to COVID, there was a concern about the digital divide, both within the county and within the state. We had to make sure that everyone had access to the internet and to computing devices so that they could access the education being offered. Okay, so digital divide. Now, the Internet Dilemma Policy one-pager. What I'd like for you to do is to take a look at an example. So hang on for a second. Sorry, I forgot to add this in. This is an example of what you will be doing in your groups. I'm going to send you off back to your groups. If you're doing this again by yourself, then you can pause the video and read this over. But this is an example of an Internet Dilemma Policy one-pager. The core question here, when and how should internet service providers be allowed to treat some kinds of internet traffic different from others? Impacted groups. Okay, here are impacted groups. And then over here, I have a couple of sentences about the interests, benefits, and harms. Okay, now, technical background. Here, visiting a website actually means a company like Netflix sends you data. This data travels over a network. Big pieces of data like a movie are split into smaller pieces called packets. Notice this is all stuff that you learned in this course. So you want to come all the way down. Some content like streaming video requires more packets than others, like email. Also, it's more important that it gets sent quickly. Okay, you don't want to watch a movie and have it constantly buffering. So you want some technical background, but notice the technical is not crazy technical. Recommended policy solution, policy statement. It's a one-liner. Pros, who benefits, cons, who is harmed. And again, I'm not asking you to write all this down, but this is an example of what you're going to be doing. So what I want you to do is take this Internet Dilemma Policy one-pager. Don't forget to check the rubric as you work, all right, and fill it out with your group. When we come back, we'll start listening to some of them. We may not get through all of them today. We'll listen to the rest of them next class when we go to review this unit. So again, your group, the fact that you're in groups of 3 or 4, maybe even 5, you need to work together. Select one person who's going to write everything down, because that one person will submit your one-pager after you present. Okay? So go ahead, and again, if you're doing this by yourself, this should be about a 30-minute effort. Now that we're back I would ask for those people who did net neutrality for those groups to share out. Then I would like for the internet censorship group to share out their one-pagers. And then the digital divide to share out their one-pagers. Now, in wrapping up your project guide, please put all group members' names on the one submitted and then just email it to me. The fact that there are about 32 people in each class means I should only be getting 8 emails. Okay, 8 emails with the project guide attached. Right? And that's it. Now, next up, okay, next class will be unit review. Okay, and we're just going to be reviewing some stuff and previewing the next unit. Great.